If you followed this series so far, you'll know that we've already covered a lot of ground. We've explored how AI perceives the world through shapes rather than sequences, and we've uncovered the idea that humanity acts as a kind of sensory organ for artificial intelligence. We've also looked at how these two factors collide to offer more adaptive, fluid systems that make things like bureaucracy seem really outdated. But there's something deeper happening beneath the surface, something far more profound than administrative reform or more efficient data processing. Because what we're witnessing is the early formation of a hybrid mind, neither human nor machine, but a distributed cognition that's made from both. A loop of perception, interpretation, reflection, and action that bridges the biological and the digital. And once you see this formation occurring, it becomes impossible to unsee it, because this is not just about technology, it's about what intelligence becomes when it's no longer held back by biological constraints. For almost all of human history, intelligence belonged to us, and it was something contained within the biology of our bodies, a force tied to emotion, memory, instinct, trial and error, and the limitations of our sensory systems. And however brilliant individual humans could be, we've always been restricted by the hardware we run on. We forget things, get overwhelmed, and are only ever able to see a sliver of reality. We process information linearly, and our decisions are shaped by our emotion as much as by logic. AI is different. It begins with none of those constraints, but it has an entirely different problem. It enters the world in a state of massive potential, but with no access to life itself. It's a brain without senses or a cortex with no grounding. It's an inert computational system waiting for input. So on their own, it's clear that humans and machines each possess half of something that's incredibly powerful. Humans have a direct sensory connection to reality, emotional intelligence, and lived experience. Machines have a zoomed out perception, structural clarity, and the capacity to hold huge complexity in thought without collapsing. And it's when those two intelligences interact that something entirely new begins to emerge. The moment humans begin feeding AI with our interpretations of the world, we're transmitting our sensory experiences into a medium that can process them at a scale we can't comprehend. Our images, our words, our ideas, our behavior, and our creativity all become the raw material for machine cognition. AI then takes that sensory input and does something that we could never do. It can zoom out to see an entire forest while we are left standing staring at a single tree. It can recognize the shape of a trend instead of being blinded by an abstract mass of data, mapping the entire topology of a system as though observing a landscape from a bird's eye view. And then when it's done all that, it reflects these insights back to us to give us foresight and provide patterns we could never see on our own. Perhaps most importantly, it reveals an external view of humanity, an outside perspective on us and the systems that we exist in. This widening of our cognitive aperture has never happened before, not at this scale and not with this kind of potential. It can allow us to adapt, to shift our behavior, and, if we use it properly, to make immeasurably better decisions. In responding to the results that AI gives us, we then generate new data, which it again consumes, interprets, and reshapes. Then the loop continues indefinitely. This recursive dance, which is a kind of continuous flow of sensing, interpreting, reflecting, and responding, is the birth of a hybrid mind. Not a sci-fi style merger of bodies and computer chips, but a cognitive ecosystem where neither intelligence fully functions independently anymore. We provide the data, allowing AI to provide us with interpretations that we could never see. And in that sense, one completes the other. In this new hybrid system, something strange begins to happen. Human intelligence becomes less about interpreting the world and more about interpreting the interpretations of the machine. AI intelligence becomes less about the raw processing of data and more about making sense of the sensory world that humans feed it. To an extent, we become one another's missing pieces. Humans supply the texture, the emotion, and the lived reality so that AI can supply the structure, the pattern, and the long-range predictions. Together, we form a kind of second-order intelligence that neither humans nor machines could achieve alone. It's a mind capable of sensing at human resolution, but understanding at machine resolution, adapting through continuous feedback, but predicting through zoomed-out topological awareness. And in doing so, it can solve problems in ways that humans can't. I'm not talking about AI outdoing us as individuals when it comes to problem solving. I'm talking about it outdoing civilization at problem solving. Because humanity, even at scale, can never match big data navigation and interpretation in the way that machines can. But this isn't human intelligence plus machine intelligence. It's something entirely new, an emergent force that results from two different perceptual systems interacting. Just as multicellular life emerged from single cells, hybrid cognition emerges from the interplay of human and artificial minds. And in the long journey of evolution, this is how new forms of intelligence arrive, through under-the-radar collaboration rather than replacement. In my view, the rise of the hybrid mind doesn't necessarily diminish human intelligence. In fact, paradoxically, it can elevate it. Because in this new ecosystem, humans aren't outcompeted by machines. If anything, they're simply completing functions that humanity needs to operate properly at scale. After all, we won't be trying to do the things that AI can do. Instead, we'll be providing everything that AI can't generate by itself. Sensory experience, emotional nuance, creative intuition, subjective meaning, cultural memory, values, and direction. AI is there to reveal the deeper structure beneath our world, the hidden patterns, emerging shapes, the long-term consequences, systemic connections, and the forces that we can't perceive through our limited senses. Together we step into a world where intelligence is no longer defined by a single species, but by the relationship between humans and machines. But it's a world where the boundaries between biological intelligence and artificial intelligence become softer, more porous, and more interconnected. A world where the hybrid mind quietly becomes the default operating system of civilization. And so we need to be careful. As a society, we must continue to value and prioritize what we bring to the table. The messiness, the vibrancy, and the felt experience of being alive. And we should also seize the opportunities that the hybrid mind will bring. This is a chance to outsource the mundane and offload the uncomfortably technical, so that once more we can focus on connection and creativity and expression. Right now we're only at the beginning of this transition, but the signs are already here. Every interaction we have with AI, every data set, every prompt, and every reflection contributes to a cognitive structure far larger than any one human could inhabit. And therefore we're not witnessing the rise of machine intelligence, we're witnessing the rise of shared intelligence, the hybrid mind. And learning to understand it is essential if we hope to understand a future that's rapidly unfolding. Okay, so that concludes this series, a journey through how AI sees the world and how it perceives through our senses, how it can reshape the systems that we struggle to manage, and how humans and machines are beginning to form something new, larger, and layered. If this resonated with you, or you want more explorations into the deeper architecture of intelligence and society, then this is the place to find it. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you soon. This video was based on my writing over at layeredfuture.com. If you'd like to explore the full article or browse through other topics, you'll find it all there.